from the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus. This is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon. This is Jacob New with your news update at 12 o'clock on 1680 The Crow. This upcoming weekend marks the first anniversary of the discovery of 215 unmarked graves at the site of the former Kamloops Indian Residential School. There will be an all-day ceremony in Kamloops on Monday. Reporter Dennis Sinolu has more.
On May 27th of last year, the chief, or Cookpee, of the Kamloops people confirmed the reports of the gravesite. In a press conference today, Cookpee Roseanne Casimir spoke on the steps the community may take going forwards.
Here in Canada, there's no set of guidelines, no checklist. So all we know is one: honor, protocols, and moving forward and making sure that, we bring in who we need to support us on those steps.
Casimir warned that the situation may bring back trauma, so it should be treated with care. Dennis Sinolu, 1680, The Crow.
Reporter Dennis Sinolu joins us live on the air to talk about this story. Dennis, you listened to the press conference this morning. Can you give us a sense of what the atmosphere was like?
Yes, it was a somber affair. People understood that while other topics like the Pope and the royal visit were spoken about, 215 children were killed and buried in unmarked graves.
Yes, you mentioned the royals visiting Canada. Are they coming to Kamloops?
No. Cookpee Casimir was disappointed that they couldn't make the trip. She said it would have been a good opportunity for reconciliation and healing.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Coquitlam RCMP are asking the public for help in regards to a high-risk missing persons investigation started over a year ago. Noelle Ellie O'Soup left her home in Port Coquitlam on May 12, 2021, and has not been seen since. Both police and Ellie's family are concerned for Ellie's safety. They are known to frequent areas in the Lower Mainland, and they may be avoiding a wellness check. Police describe Ellie as a 14-year-old Indigenous youth at 5 feet 6 inches with short black hair. They are approximately 200 pounds and have scars on their forearms. Police have stated that Ellie's appearance may have changed over the last year. Anyone with information is asked to call Coquitlam RCMP or Crime Stoppers. Last week, police in Vancouver and Surrey said they are investigating a series of violent incidences involving teens. And last Sunday, a rally was held in response to an incident in Surrey. As Jay Zabanal reports, the group behind the rally believes that adults need to take more responsibility for the community.
BC Whiskey Wizards organized a rally against bullying after a teenage girl was injured from an attack from a group of teenage girls in Surrey. The group is composed of men working together towards ending the stigma surrounding men's mental health. The group's president says the father of the child was a member of their group.
I have 5 children, and as of any parent, you would hate to see that be your children, right? And as being an adult, we need to take some more responsibility here.
Experts say bullying is a community problem, and community support, like the rally by the BC Whiskey Wizards, helps create a positive environment to stop bullying. Jay Zabanal, 1680, The Crow.
You can hear Jay's interview with Thomas Smith coming up at 12:20 on 1680 The Crow. Queen Charlotte, BC will soon rename itself to its original ancestral name. The village will soon be known as Dajing Yeeds, meaning Common Hat Village or Working Haida Hat. The council of the village has officially adopted the plan, which originated from a survey indicating nearly half of the residents strongly supported a name change. Mayor Chris Olson says a petition 3 years ago by elders of the Skidegate Haida program was the force to engage with the community on the name. Prince Charles and Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall, are continuing their day in Ottawa for the second leg of their tour in Canada. The Duchess read a book to students at an elementary school after her and the Prince walked through the city's Byward district. They will now travel to see the RCMP musical ride later this afternoon. The Premier of Alberta will know later today whether his party wants to have him stay on as leader. Jason Kenney, the leader of the province's United Conservative Party, has faced much criticism since becoming the first leader of the party he co-founded in 2017. Kenny has been premier of the province since 2019 and a divisive figure in regards to his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic in Alberta. Results on the leadership review will be announced on a live stream between 4 and 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Alberta's next election is set for May 2023. A plea deal has been reached for one of the police officers involved in the killing of a black man in Minnesota 2 years ago. ABC's Derek Dennis has the details.
A guilty plea from former Minneapolis police officer Thomas Lane of second-degree manslaughter in the killing of George Floyd. The plea allows Lane to avoid a state trial for his role in Floyd's killing and instead face sentencing. Lane had been accused of holding down Floyd's legs. His fellow officer Derek Chauvin held his knee on Floyd's neck, killing him. 2 other officers are still facing trial for their alleged roles. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison says Lane's acknowledgement he did something wrong is an important step toward healing the wounds of the Floyd family, our community, and the nation. Derek Dennis, ABC News.
A Russian soldier has pleaded guilty to killing an unarmed civilian in the first war crimes trials since the country's invasion in Ukraine. Charles de Ledesma from the Associated Press reports.
Sergeant Vadim Shishimarin could get life in prison for shooting a 62-year-old Ukrainian man in the head through an open car window in the southeast of Ukraine on February 28, 4 days into the invasion. Ukraine's Prosecutor General previously said her office was readying war crimes cases against 41 Russian soldiers for offences that included bombing civilian infrastructure, killing civilians, rape and looting. It's not immediately clear how many of the suspects are in Ukrainian hands and how many will be tried in absentia. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Google says its Russian subsidiary is planning to file for bankruptcy due to being unable to pay staff and suppliers. Russian state media reported the U.S. company's Russian branch submitted a notice for its intention to file for bankruptcy. Google said in a press release that the seizure of its bank account in Russia has made it untenable for the Russian office to operate, including employing local staff and paying vendors. They did say its free online services, including Search, Gmail, YouTube, Maps, and Android phones, will continue to run. The tech company had previously suspended its business operations in Russia in March. Taylor Swift has Grammys galore, and she has a new title, Doctor. The superstar received an honorary doctorate of fine arts from New York University Wednesday. Sporting her signature red lipstick and newly awarded honorary robe, Swift joked to the thousands of graduates at Yankee Stadium she was 90% sure she was there of her song 22. Swift told graduates they shouldn't be afraid of making mistakes and should absolutely try, calling effortlessness a myth. And now, a weather update for Metro Vancouver. Rain has disappeared and a mix of sun and cloud has taken over. There's a chance of wind gusting at 70 kilometers per hour in some areas, a high of 12. Tonight will be partly cloud with a low chance of showers, wind gusts to 60 possible and a low of 8. Tomorrow, clouds give way to sun with a high of 13 degrees. Thank you for listening. Sports Update with Parmveer Pang coming up. I'm Jacob New. This is 1680 The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
This is sports on 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon. My name is Parmveer Kang, and these are your sports updates at 12:10. The Vancouver Whitecaps will be taking on FC Dallas tonight in BC Place. The Whitecaps are currently at the bottom of the Western Conference standings, while Dallas is second in the West. Whitecaps head coach Vanni Sartini spoke on the confidence that his team has.
But also with a lot of confidence. The last 3 games were really good at home. We are in kind of a good role, I would say, and we want to keep this momentum going.
With a win tonight, Vancouver would jump up to the 11th place in the West. For Dallas, a victory would put them on top of the Western Conference. The Battle of Alberta begins tonight with the Calgary Flames hosting the Edmonton Oilers for Game 1. Oilers captain Connor McDavid has led the playoffs in points with 14 through 2 rounds. For the Flames, Johnny Gaudreau is leading their offense with 7 points. Both teams won their first-round matchups in 7 games, and puck drop will be at 6:30 tonight. The New York Rangers will be on the road to start their series against the Carolina Hurricanes. The two teams had the best records in the Metropolitan Division this season, with Carolina having a slight 6-point edge in the standings. Both teams saw their first-round series go to 7 games, but managed to come out victorious. The Hurricanes are currently favored to win the series, which will begin at 4 o'clock this evening. The Colorado Avalanche went up 1-0 in their second-round matchup against the St. Louis Blues. The Avalanche won in overtime thanks to a Josh Manson game winner. Blues goaltender Jordan Binnington made 51 saves in the loss, which is the most he's ever made in a playoff game. The series will continue with Game 2 taking place tomorrow night in Colorado. The Tampa Bay Lightning beat the Florida Panthers on the road in Game 1 of their series. The Lightning won 4-1 with all 4 of their goals coming in the final 25 minutes of play. Game 2 of this series will also be played tomorrow night. The 3 finalists for the Lady Byng Trophy have been announced. Winnipeg Jets forward Kyle Connor, Carolina Hurricanes defenseman Jacob Slavin, and Minnesota Wild defenseman Jared Spurgeon are the 3 finalists. The award recognizing sportsmanship, gentlemanly conduct, and a high standard of play. The Golden State Warriors will be hosting the Dallas Mavericks for Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals tonight. Mavericks All-Star Luka Doncic has averaged 32 points through the first 2 rounds. Warriors star Steph Curry praised what Doncic and the Mavericks have done this playoffs.
They're obviously playing a really high level. You have a lot of guys that have shined this playoff run. Obviously, Luka's doing what he's doing, putting up crazy numbers. The way he finished out that series was pretty special.
Curry has averaged 27 points this postseason and has led the Warriors to their 6th Western Conference Finals appearance in 8 years. The Miami Heat defeated the Boston Celtics in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals last night. Heat All-Star Jimmy Butler led the way with 41 points. Boston head coach Ime Udoka stayed optimistic despite the loss.
Like you mentioned, we won 3 quarters and won the transition battle, won the second chance points battle, won the points in the paint, and really had one poor quarter that, hurt us, and it was strictly from a physicality standpoint.
Game 2 of the East Finals will take place in Miami on Thursday. The Orlando Magic won the NBA Draft Lottery, which took place last night. The top Canadian prospect in this year's draft is 18-year-old Shaden Sharp, who attended the University of Kentucky. The draft will be taking place on June 23rd. The Toronto Blue Jays will play their 3rd game in their 3-game series against the Seattle Mariners tonight. For Toronto, the starting pitcher will be Kevin Gausman, while Marco Gonzalez will get the start for the Mariners. The Blue Jays are currently up in the series 2-0. Earlier today, the Vancouver Giants selected 2 U.S.-born prospects in the WHL U.S. Priority Draft. The Giants selected Mason Fleece and Cooper Simpson with the 21st and 24th overall picks. Both players are forwards who were born in 2007. And tomorrow morning, the Giants will participate in the WHL Prospects Draft, where they have the 7th, 21st, and 27th picks. My name is Parmveer Kang, and you're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Hello, I'm Jay Zamanal, and you're listening to For the Record on 1680 The Crow. Last week, police in Vancouver and Surrey said they are investigating a series of violent incidents involving teens. These include several swarmings, robberies, and reports of violent rituals meant to demean and humiliate peers. One incident took place at Hillcrest Elementary School in Surrey on May 7th. And last Sunday, a rally was held in response to the assault. The anti-bullying rally had vehicles with pink signs saying "Stand up to bullying," and the action received a huge support from the community. BC Whiskey Wizards organized the rally. They're a group composed of men working together towards ending the stigma surrounding men's mental health. And we are joined today by Thomas Smith, the president of BC Whiskey Wizards. Thank you for joining us today, Thomas.
No problem.
Okay. What was your motivation to hold the rally last Sunday?
Our motivation to hold the rally last Sunday, when the Wizards contacted me and sent me a video, actually told me about everything that was happening. And then I looked for the video online, and I found several at the same time. And it was hard for me to even find the one he was talking about, even though that was the main one that just happened. I found several little girls get assaulted and beat up in the city in front of their schools or in public with just people standing there videotaping. And then, as I'm going through the list and we're trying to find out who her family is, it turns out her dad is one of our Wizards too.
Oh, no.
So right then I was like, we got to do everything we possibly can for this little girl and her family, right? Like, we're brothers helping brothers. At least we can do for the dad is reach out and help him out, give him a convoy, show our support or whatever, right? So that's what we enlisted to do. And I messaged like everyone in my group. I was like, we need to put a convoy together. This is the place, this is the time. They messaged their friends in the group, like different groups, like bikers against bullying and stuff like that. They messaged their friends. Their friends messaged their friends. Multiple radio stations put out that we were having the event. The event was huge. I think there was like at least over 100 vehicles.
Wow.
At least over 100 people showing their support in the small area of Cloverdale, like the little town area. There was people that came and donated numerous amounts of money to the family. There's one guy, I'm not going to place no names, but he said he just came from out of town. He's joining our group. His family was in the group. He had a lot of money come his way, and he left the family $2,000 right there.
Wow.
And then as a bag got passed around for all of 2 minutes, it filled up to $200.
Wow. Let's not mention any names regarding the victim or the family, but can you tell me what the reaction was from the family when they heard that you're doing this rally for them?
They were happy. The mother was obviously a wreck, and it got all overwhelming for the family, I think, halfway through it, because there were so many people coming, right? The tension was, it was supposed to be an anti-bullying rally. We wanted to stop in the city. It doesn't need to happen no more. It used to happen way back when I was a kid, right? And being everything that's happened in the city, COVID, everything else, we figure we come past that, you know?
Okay. And personally, how important is it to realize that a person being bullied is someone's loved one?
Exactly. Like, I have 5 children, and as of any parent, you would hate to see that be your children, right? And as being adults, we need to take some more responsibility here.
I like that part where we are adults and we should take responsibility here, because I read studies saying that bullying is a community problem, and it's basically the responsibility of the adults as well to make sure that it doesn't happen. Why is it important to stand up against bullying from your perspective, Thomas?
Well, honestly, I've been in the city most of my life, and look at all the criminal activities and stuff that happened in the city in the past, and that the city's trying to put a stop to, and we're still trying to put a stop to. we don't want our kids to turn out the same way that era turned out.
Okay. And from this incident, what else should be done to protect Canadian youth from bullying and violence?
Well, from what I saw, that was all spread across on social media. There's more than a dozen kids there videotaping it. There was teenager boys there, there's teenager females there. Like, anyone could have jumped out and stopped that. It just takes the odd one out of the bunch to say, hey, that's not right.
Okay. And, well, what you did is, I really admire what you guys did. And for those who have just tuned into 1680 The Crow, we are joined by Thomas Smith, the president of BC Whiskey Wizards, to talk about their group and the rally they organized for a teen who was injured in an attack by a group of teens in Surrey. Thomas, tell us about your group since we're here. Let's talk about the BC Whiskey Wizards.
Well, it actually all started... My wife was part of the Wine Fairies, I believe it was, and there was no group like that in Coquitlam at the time, and I wanted to create a group. That's why it was named BC Whiskey Wizards.
Oh, so there's Wine Fairies, and you're the Whiskey Wizards.
Yes, that's how it started originally, though. But then, like, during COVID, we found a need there, and then it just turned into something bigger. Like, brothers in the group started reaching out to each other. We started doing fundraisers for people, like stuff like that. Now we've donated to big societies like Children's Hospital, Canucks Place, Big Brothers Society, the LGBTQT, and we're donating to families every day. We got 10,500 guys across BC. We accept all males. Anyone identifies as a male above 19. Right? We're all brothers helping brothers. Like, so where a man was scared to reach out before to his family or something with his problems that he couldn't reach out to, he could reach out to us. We're open, and the reason we work is because everyone in this group has had similar problems at one point in their life.
Wow. And what support or service does your group offer?
Groceries for when your family's in need, right? Like, we help out any way possible. Any way possible. Like I said, we're brothers helping brothers. We're here to give back to everyone. We're here to give back to all our brothers. Give back in any way we can.
Okay. It's brothers helping brothers. So, from your experience with the group, how should we support men's mental health? And can you explain to us the stigma that comes when it comes to mental health and why it's harder for men?
Me personally, I experienced through the group with all the messages and calls I get. There's no way for men to safely reach out. Right? We're always taught to be hard and like not open up to people. So it's hard for many men to reach out and say, "Hey, I got a problem," or "I'm doing everything I should be, but I got a problem and I can't fix it." All that stuff, right? Like, or he can't spend enough time with his kids because he works every day. And he feels like he's missing out on his family, stuff like that.
And yes, just please continue.
Even like places for like brothers to crash, we help them find that. We try to help them find places to stay. We've helped one of our wizards out when he was stranded out in Whistler in his car. We helped multiple brothers with their vehicles. Actually, we got maybe a couple dozen sponsors that will help out with us in any way they possibly could. Right? So we've also partnered with big companies and we do food drives. So like when our brothers are struggling or like they're paying all this for their rent or mortgage or whatever, they don't need to spend that extra stress shopping for their family. We'll supply them.
Wow, sounds like a very solid community.
Yeah. Well, we try to do the best we can.
From have you had any push towards programs to erase the stigma or promote programs for men's mental health?
Right now we're just a Facebook group. We are on the verge of trying to become an NPO here. And then once we become an NPO, we'll have so much more access to help everyone. Right, but right now we're just on the verge, so we could do as much as we possibly can in the Facebook group.
Well, the activity you did in Surrey is already something. Well, it's already a great start. Anything else you would like to add today, Thomas?
Don't be scared to help someone else out. If you see them in a struggle or you see something like that happen, jump out there and help them out. No one should be going through that.
That's a great advice. Experts say, as I said earlier, bullying is a community problem. And can I just say this again? The community support you have shown creates a positive environment to stop bullying. So thank you to your group, Thomas.
Thank you for having us there.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us today, Thomas. It was an absolute pleasure to chat with you.
Okay. Take care.
Thank you. And that was Thomas Smith from the BC Whiskey Wizards. Before we end today, I would like to include this in our program today. The Vancouver Police have advised that if you are being bullied, walk away and get to a safe place. You should also tell a trusted adult, either your parent, teacher, principal, school liaison officer, or a counselor. And you need to keep track of the bullying. Write down the dates and any witnesses. And if you are being bullied online, don't delete anything. Take a screenshot if it is on someone else's Facebook page or other social media that you have no control over. If you are being bullied via text messaging, don't reply or respond to the messages, and report the abusive text to the service provider for your phone or electronic device. Now, if the text message are threatening in any way, save the message and contact your local police agency to report them. You can also report online bullying to the social media site and block the person responsible for the bullying. Now, here's what you can do if you witness someone being bullied. The VPD says it can be difficult to step up and say something during the incident. If you feel you may be in danger, if you speak up, you should leave and get help. Leave and get help. If you are concerned the bully may target you, you can ask to remain anonymous. You can actually now report bullying online anonymously. There's a site called erasereportit.gov.bc.ca. I'm going to spell it. erasereportit.gov.bc.ca. And you can talk to the victim and encourage them to seek help and let them know you will back them up. This has been For the Record. I'm Jay Zamanel, and you're listening to 1680 The Crow.
As climate change worsens, innovation has become key. At an automotive workshop in Burnaby, students work clustering around vehicles, learning how to keep them in running order. But for some, this hands-on practice is now being applied for a new kind of vehicle, low emissions and electric vehicles. Chattis Leo investigates.
With the window to tackle climate change rapidly closing, it's becoming more pressing to switch to renewable sources to power transport, housing, and other utilities. But at BCIT, one program is already addressing such a need. It's the Department of Automotive, Motor, and Power Sport. Program head Steve Elder, a former retrofitter and certified mechanic, starts off by telling us about the origins of the program.
We were funded for this program by the Ministry of Energy and Mines and Low Carbon, and they had come in about 2018 and wanted us to start providing training for other people who were involved in the industry outside of the manufacturers. So up until this point, really the only training that was available for automotive technicians was from the manufacturers themselves. So the idea was that we would plan and build, based with, of course, with the government's help, we would have a different approach, and we would have sort of an aftermarket view rather than having to go through the manufacturers.
Before Steve got into the nuts and bolts of the program and what it's doing to tackle climate change through teachings of renewable energy, he first talked about how he first got into this sector of the industry.
I guess really as the industry had matured over the years that I was working, on internal combustion engines, we saw the introduction of hybrids at the end of the 1990s, and then pretty slow sort of uptake in them, but I was kind of keeping an eye on them and, was interested in them, started taking some training with some outside trainers, as well as doing manufacturers training as well on hybrids and electric vehicles. So that kind of segued into what I'm doing today.
Is it that one or that one? Yep. That one? You remove our... Okay, so...
Okay, so yeah, I think that what we actually do in this course is we show them how to rebuild battery packs. So in other words, they can take a battery pack, right apart, take it down to the cell level, identify failed cells, and then replace them. Then charge the batteries back up. That's with a certain chemistry. It depends what chemistry we've got, but we're still, even with batteries that are lithium ion, which is the very common, all manufacturers are using them now for a plug-in electric vehicle, then we're still showing them how to repair those, take them right down to the cell level.
Brent Lassus, an instructor for the School of Transportation through BCIT, talks about a bit of the challenges when it comes to teaching this new type of technology.
I think some of the biggest challenges is actually finding training material, having the vehicles, having the required vehicles. Obviously, if you're teaching, say, hybrids and electric vehicles, you need to have the vehicles here, you need to have the training aids. So sometimes procuring them can be a bit difficult, especially now. It's hard to come by the vehicles. There's a huge waiting list to buy vehicles, new and used. So that's usually the biggest hurdle that we have, is also having we use live training aids on vehicles, but we also have training aids set up, training stations set up, and just finding those materials and just finding all the tooling to work on them can be the most challenging part. Yeah.
Similar to the students that attend the program at BCIT, both Brent and Stephen truly believe that the path of teaching renewable technology is the right way to go when tackling climate change.
It's exciting. I don't know, it wasn't the primary reason for going. I've always liked new technology. Just in general, electric vehicles are smoother, faster, more efficient. So the savings in fuel costs, but then also the climate factor is also a big part of it, obviously, too. It's not the only thing, but Yeah, just for me, and it was a fun transition to learn all these new technologies and things like that. I think that's the biggest thing is if you're willing to learn, you can definitely make the transition.
Oh, I think it's awesome because if you've ever driven an electric vehicle or been for a drive in an electric vehicle, someone else driving, you'll know that they're extremely fast, they're extremely quiet. There's very little maintenance on them. We've gone from internal combustion engines that could be upwards of 2,000 moving parts to vehicles that have got maybe 20 moving parts. So we're headed in the right direction for sure.
In a world where climate change is an ever-pressing issue, we need to teach the next generation on how to properly protect the planet. And the Motive Power program at BCIT is doing just that. For The Crow, with co-producer Jasper Chu, this is Chattis Leo.
You may see them on the streets of Vancouver, plastic bags slung over their shoulders, picking up cans or bottles. Some call them dumpster divers. Others may just ignore their existence, but the Binners of Vancouver are a hardworking group of people who are helping to clean our city up. Shivani Joshi joins a local binner on his trap line as she learns the way binning sustains a living for one of the most marginalized groups in urban neighborhoods across North America.
And this is another thing I don't like. People taking these out. But
I'm walking up to 312 Main Street, a building once occupied by the VPD that now houses several social enterprises. It's a typical rainy Vancouver day, and I'm joining Bill, a cheerful 64-year-old man who's part of the Binners Project, on his regular route to collect empties.
Hey, my name's Bill Piggott. I've been with the Binners Project now for almost 6 years. When I came into the Binners Project, my doctor told me I had to lose weight, and the only thing I could do was walk. And the walking's stupid and stuff like that, stupid to pick up cans. It actually, even though I suffer from COPD, that's a very, very strong lung disorder. And I suffer from hypertension. So, I didn't think it would be good for me, but it actually worked out to be pretty good. And, I lost 60 pounds in less than a year and maintained my weight, so.
Bill's typical trap line is nearly 3.5 kilometers long. We started off at 312 Main. We made our way underneath the Georgia Viaduct, past Science World, until we got to Habitat Island. After that, we strolled through Olympic Village and then headed back to 312, making a stop at every recyclable bin on the route. Our jackets and shoes drenched in rain, this walk took us about 2 hours.
Well, it's my route's been pretty well the same thing. We call it a trap line. A hunter goes out and sets his trap line and then goes and checks it. But and it's like after a while you start thinking, hey, this is my property type thing. Welcome to it. I don't care about other people picking up on it, but don't do stuff like as I was saying when I was clearing out the edges and stuff like that. If you're going to pick up empties there, clear the thing like I do. Yeah. And I try to do that as an example. When I have quite a bit and I've got empties, I like to leave 1 or 2 cans out just as an example for people to see as they're walking around. This is where the cans go. Yeah. Here you're going to see what I'm talking about. That's what I do with the bin. Yeah.
Oh, these are the ones they lock up?
No, these are the ones that don't lock up.
These are the ones they just have on the side?
Yep, they have the side, but you see the waste.
You can open the door as well? Or?
Yep. And you see the waste there? Yeah. That's not what's supposed to be there. So bottles and cans only.
As we trek down his trap line, Bill shows me how he collects.
I just carry the bags. I like to feel the bag.
Yeah.
On my shoulder. I don't like the sound of the wheels always hitting ruts in the road. Click, 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 as you're walking down the road. It's just, and stuff like scuffing their feet and stuff like that.
Yeah. And you don't pick up bottles?
I don't pick up glass because glass is very heavy.
Yeah.
For one thing, and that's not even the more dangerous one. I one time had a piece of glass jab into my back because a beer bottle broke in my bag. And things like that can happen quite often.
Beyond the physical challenges Bill deals with on a day-to-day, working in the informal recycling sector comes with social and emotional challenges as well.
One of my biggest challenges is people look at us and they call us bums. Listen, we're working. We're not asking anybody for it. In fact, we're cleaning up that a lot of times. So, as a vendor, we have dripping bags, and there's the bags are could be anything in there from beer to some people urinate in bottles and stuff, and when you're walking around afterwards, the odor can be pretty strong sometimes. Yeah. And it's hard to get out of your clothes.
I spoke to Sean Miles, director of the Binners Project, regarding how the organization is helping to reduce the stigma Binners face.
So one is that very early on, the project developed a uniform, which is green shirt with our logo and a hat as a way to legitimize the work that Binners are doing. And many of the Binners are very proud of their uniform and get recognized in the community wearing those things. And that's something that we think is a great tool for destigmatizing. We also regularly engage with the city and others, the province, and trying to ensure that Binners are in the room to give their voice to things, which helps, again, legitimize their experience and the work that they're doing.
Do you feel like you have a greater sense of community as a result of this program?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Definitely.
Are a lot of your friends part of this program?
Not really. I don't socialize a lot.
Okay.
The guy just called me. It's like, one of my only friends. I mean, he's my drug dealer. I call him a friend.
And what do you take, if you don't mind?
I smoke cocaine.
Okay. And is that a result of the injury or even prior to that?
No, it's just something that the first 20 years actually I was on my own. That I was down here. I didn't use, and then just one time all of a sudden. It's a state of affairs down here. I mean, just about everybody has some kind of a thing, and it's a crutch. A crutch is what it is. In the late 80s, with a breakup and losing my family, losing my kid, it was kind of.
Oh, you have a child?
Yeah.
Do you see your child ever?
No, it's just things. There's a lot of depression and stuff like that, and I just kind of, just went distant.
We're definitely not the kind of complete solution to that, but it has, and from the start, the project has been intended to be a way for Binners to find community and engage with each other. So I think it's definitely helped facilitate some of that. There's always going to be more work to be done in that, and also we've seen a real impact of the pandemic on the project's ability to help facilitate that sense of community. Obviously not being able to kind of meet indoors in the way that we typically would and engage with the community as we normally would have has definitely impacted kind of, I think, the Binners' sense of cohesiveness of working towards a common goal.
Another key component of the Binners community is the United We Can Bottle Depot. Here, the Binners bring their empties and then get 10 cents for each item returned. The director of the organization, Bing Smith, talks about how their customers from the informal recycling sector are always accommodated.
United We Can was founded 28 years ago, and it was founded by a Binner at the time. And one of the reasons that he founded it was he wanted to give the Binners a safe place to come where they got treated with dignity and weren't frowned upon. In those days, nobody wanted to deal with people that looked scruffy and rough and had cans and bottles and all of that kind of stuff. So, certainly one of his mission statements, and, we still have two. So one was to provide a safe, welcoming environment for, as you call it, Binners. We call them customers, but it's the same thing. First thing is we treat everybody with respect. We don't care what you're doing or where you're from or what's wrong with you. We don't have a restricted list like some bottle depots do where certain people aren't allowed.
Sean talks to me about how the project works closely with the city to ensure the binners are able to work without any obstructions, although that's not always the case.
City is a group that we look to for support in some ways, and we do receive some grant funding from the city that helps support our operations. That being said, we've seen ways in which they've hindered us, the community, through things like even just recently the coffee cup bylaw, the fee that came into effect, which is kind of disproportionately impacting binners and other kind of lower income individuals. The same thing with the plastic bag ban to an extent as well has impacted binners in that many of them relied on plastic bags, but also we have Binners Hook, which is an infrastructure project we developed a few years back that specifically allowed residents in the community to hang any of their refundables on a hook in their back alley. And many of the people who have those hooks relied on plastic bags as that to get those and to leave those out for binners. So, things like that where there is kind of a ripple effect that can impact the community. And so we have always worked to try and partner with and work with the city where we can, but also be willing to kind of call out those areas where we're seeing that they're falling short, for sure.
We had this for a while. We were doing the sorting here, but I don't know. They become very unbinner friendly around here.
Oh.
Yeah. It's been
Why is that? Was before my time.
the locking these up.
Yeah.
You gotta reach in. You can't open it up and look. But it is a waste station, and it is illegal for them to tell you can't be looking in there.
Despite the many challenges Bill faces in his day-to-day, he continues to say,
one of the favorite sayings of Michael Leland, who's my partner doing that, it is what it is, he'd say. Mm-hmm. You never know what's going to happen when you vote. It's just kind of, things will happen. Mm-hmm. Things will happen, and just not letting it bother you. Mm-hmm. Just trying to. And then when you see something that somebody's having a bad time and everything like that, it's just think about, oh, for the grace of God, that could be me. If just one little downturn or just staying in that negativity would have happened. And one of the big things with it is when I went back to the spinning wheel in the 90s and I started working there because it was a different thing. I mean, my friends were kind of not the ones that were partying and everything in there, but like the band and the ownership and stuff like that. It just pulled me out of it. So I wasn't gonna just sit back and just get drunk. I never was one to really want to get drunk.
I'm Shivani Joshi with my co-producer Julie Madsen for 1680 The Crow.
As COVID restrictions are slowly fading away, the Coquitlam Dodgeball League prepares for opening night of their 27th season, the first full season since COVID started.
When most people are looking for a recreational sports league to join, they think of hockey, basketball, or maybe soccer. However, this group of people have found their passion for dodgeball. The Coquitlam Dodgeball League, or CDL, was founded in 2007 and started with 16 teams. Now, it's made up of 40 teams with over 350 players. One player, Rob Gerard, has been playing in the CDL since it first began and is the only player to play every single year. 15 years later, he still plays, but is also the league director, which means he focuses on day-to-day tasks as well as launching every season.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon, I'm Kiara Collins, and these are your news and sports headlines to 1 o'clock with 1680 The Crow. The chief of Kamloops Desawahem First Nation says it's been a very traumatic year since they announced the discovery of unmarked graves at the site of the former Kamloops residential school. Roseanne Casimir says sharing the findings with the world has been devastating for both her as a leader, as a mother, and as a grandmother. A day-long cultural ceremony is set for this Monday at the nation's powwow Abor to make the anniversary of findings, which Casimir says was a confirmation that children did not come home from residential schools. Since the Kamloops announced last year, several other First Nations in BC and across Canada have announced similar discoveries. Vancouver RCMP have identified 2 people whose remains were found after a fire destroyed a building in Gastown. The bodies were identified as Mary Ann Growlow, 68, and Dennis Guay, 53, by police. On April 11th, flames engulfed the Winters Hotel, a 71-person single-room occupancy structure. Several occupancies saved from the fire, but firefighters were unable to search properly. On April 23rd, workmen discovered a body and paused demolition on the fire-destroyed structure. A second person's remains were discovered some hours later. The terrible finding raised doubts about the housing provider's earlier assertions that everyone who resided there was safe. Surrey has announced Canada Day performers list. Headlining is Juno Award winners Arkels and Javier Mighty and Juno nominee Shanine Quiche. This is the first Canada Day that Surrey is hosting since 2019 due to COVID-19. Cloverdale's Bill Reed Millennium Amphitheater will host a free festival on Friday, July 1st from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Burnaby RCMP are asking for the public's help in identifying 2 suspects that were involved in 2 break-ins and mail theft incident in March. The 2 suspects broke into the residential complex in the 7200 blocks of Kohler Street and pried open the main panel of the mailbox and stole all the mail. Anyone with information is asked to call Burnaby RCMP or Crime Stoppers. New Democrats in Ottawa are calling for the government to hike the GST rebate and Canada Child Benefit checks by $500 each in 2022. Party leader Jagmeet Singh says the move would assist families across Canada struggling with record increase in food and gas prices.
We're not blaming the government for all the causes of inflation, unlike some other parties, but we are certainly calling out the Liberal government for inaction in the face of what is a serious consequence for people who are having struggles to put food on the table, to pay their bills.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau appears to be rejecting the opposition's proposal, citing the 2 benefits are already being indexed into inflation. Today is day 2 of Prince Charles and Camille's Canada tour. The 2 started off in a prayer service inside a gilded Ukrainian Orthodox cathedral in Ottawa. Once the prayer service concluded, the 2 met with a Ukrainian family who fled the Russian invasion. After the meeting, the 2 made their way to the National War Memorial in Ottawa, where a modest crowd awaited the 2. There was a long-time royal watcher, Cecile Dumont, arrived hours ahead of the royal couple to get a good vantage point.
It's history in the making, the future kings here in Ottawa, and I just wanted to come and shake his hand and tell him welcome to Canada and happy to see him.
Now in sports, the Vancouver Whitecaps will be taking on FC Dallas tonight in BC Place. The Whitecaps are currently at the bottom of the Western Conference standings, while Dallas is in second in the West. Whitecaps head coach Vanni Stastany spoke at the confidence that his team has.
But also with a lot of confidence. The last 3 games were really good at home. We are in kind of a good role, I would say, and we want to keep this momentum going.
With a win tonight, Vancouver would jump up to 11th place in the West. For Dallas, a victory would put them on top of the Western Conference. The Battle of the Alberta begins tonight with the Calgary Flames hosting the Edmonton Oilers for Game 1. Oilers captain Connor McDavid has led playoffs in points with 14 through 2 rounds. For the Flames, Johnny Gaudreau is leading their offense with 7 points. Both teams won their first round in Match 7. I'm Kiara Collins, and you're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.